was 7 months pregnant and alone at home that night, and the power went out suddenly while I was making tea, leaving the house completely dark except for a weak light from outside. I stood still for a moment trying to adjust. Then I heard a slow knock on the door, steady and patient, like someone who knew I would answer eventually. I didn't move at first, but the knock came again. And then I heard a woman's voice, calm and low, saying she needed help because she was pregnant and couldn't walk much longer. I moved closer to the door but didn't open it, and I asked her to speak louder, and she did, saying she was alone and needed water and a place to sit. I looked through the side window and saw her standing there, holding her stomach, breathing heavily like she was in pain. I opened the door slightly, but kept the chain on, and she leaned closer so I could see her face clearly, and she looked exhausted but focused, not scared like someone asking for help. I hesitated for a second. Then I opened the door fully because I couldn't ignore someone in that condition. She walked in slowly, looking around the house in a way that felt wrong, like she was memorizing everything instead of just looking for a chair. I guided her to sit down, but she didn't sit immediately. She walked a few steps deeper into the house before finally lowering herself onto the chair. I asked if she needed water, and she nodded without looking at me, keeping her eyes on the hallway behind me. I went to the kitchen and filled a glass, and when I came back, she had stood up again and moved closer to my bedroom door. I stopped and asked her what she was doing, and she turned slowly and said she thought she heard something from inside. I told her there was nothing there, but she kept looking at the door like she didn't believe me. I placed the glass on the table and told her to sit again, but she didn't move. She just kept staring, then finally turned and smiled in a way that didn't match her situation. She said she had been walking for a long time and that she chose this house specifically because it was quiet and isolated. I felt something shift in the moment, something very clear, and I stepped back slowly, putting distance between us. She followed that movement with her eyes, then took one step toward me, still holding her stomach, but no longer acting weak. I told her she should leave, and she shook her head slowly, saying she couldn't leave yet because she hadn't finished what she came for. I moved toward the front door, but she stepped in front of me faster than I expected, blocking the way completely. I tried to push past her, but she grabbed my arm firmly, not like someone in pain, but like someone fully in control. I pulled away and rushed toward the hallway instead, but she followed immediately, matching my pace without hesitation. I reached my bedroom and tried to close the door, but she pushed it open with her hand before I could lock it. We stood there facing each other, both breathing hard, both pregnant, but only one of us looked completely calm. She said quietly that she had been watching me for days and knew exactly when I would be alone. I told her to get out, and she stepped closer, lowering her voice even more, saying she didn't come to take anything from the house. Then she placed her hand on her stomach and looked directly at me and said she came because she needed mine. That's when I thought it was over. I had no idea what was about to happen next. I didn't answer her. I moved sideways quickly and grabbed the nearest object I could find. But she reacted immediately and knocked it out of my hand before I could use it. I tried to run past her again, but she grabbed my shoulder this time and pushed me back against the wall with enough force to stop me completely. I struggled and shouted, but she covered my mouth with her hand and told me to stay quiet because no one was close enough to hear anything anyway. I bit her hand and managed to break free for a second. Then I rushed toward the front door again, but she caught up and pulled me back by my shirt. We both fell, and I hit the floor hard, unable to get up fast enough before she was already above me. She didn't rush after that. She moved carefully, controlling every movement, making sure I couldn't stand again. I tried to crawl away, but she grabbed my leg and dragged me back across the floor slowly. I kicked and fought, but my strength was fading while she stayed steady and focused. She told me to stop resisting because it would only make things worse, and her voice stayed calm the entire time. I reached for anything around me, but there was nothing close enough to help, and she kept me pinned down with one hand. With the other hand, she pulled something from her pocket, something small and sharp that caught the little light coming from outside. I tried to twist away, but she pressed harder, keeping me still while positioning herself closer. She told me again that she had no other option and that she had been planning this for weeks. I kept moving, trying to delay her, but she adjusted every time, never losing control. The pain started suddenly and sharply, and I screamed into her hand as she forced me to stay still. Everything after that moved fast and slow at the same time, with her focused completely on what she was doing while I couldn't stop it. She worked without panic, without hesitation, like she had done this before or practiced it. I tried to push her away again, but my arms wouldn't respond the same way anymore, and she noticed that immediately. She finished what she came for, then stood up slowly, breathing steady, holding something carefully in her hands. I couldn't move properly. I couldn't even turn fully, but I saw her walk toward the door without looking back. She opened it, stepped outside, and disappeared into the dark street without running. The house went completely silent again, exactly like it was before she knocked. I stayed there on the floor, unable to get up, unable to stop what was already done. Hours later, when the lights came back, everything was clear and visible, and nothing had changed except what she took. The door was still open, the house was still empty, and I was still alone. One last question. If you were in her place at that moment, would you have done the same? Be honest. What does her choice deserve out of 10? Subscribe now. The best story is coming next.